Hey, what's up you guys, it's Dylan, and in today's video, I thought I would give a shot at sharing my predictions on who should play the adult cast of the Losers Club in It, Chapter 2. I went and saw this year's It movie around mid-September, and I will be making a review for you guys to watch very soon. After the movie ended, people have been talking about who should play these kids as adults. Many people have different choices, so I thought I would share my predictions on who could land these roles as the adult Losers Club. Before I begin, I just want to say that if you like this, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you enjoy my content. There will be more to come soon. Now I have 3 different actor choices for each character. So what I'm going to do is list my third and second choices first, and then reveal my favorite pick last. Keep in mind that this movie will take place 27 years after the kids encounter It, so I assume they will be in the age range of 30 to late 40s. So here we go. First up, we have Bill Denbrough, played by Jaden Lieberher in this year's It movie. In the novel, Bill grows up to be a horror writer and ends up marrying a woman that is very similar to Beverly. My last choice for this character is Ewan McGregor. As I am reading the book, Bill is described as a kid with red hair and a really bad stutter, especially after his brother is killed by the infamous Pennywise the Dancing Clown. I thought of Ewan for a couple reasons. Number one being he definitely has the look of an adult Bill Denbrough, and he actually was a consideration for Lieberher himself. I definitely think Ewan could give this a shot, and I would love to see him be Bill. Of course, we all know who this guy was before. You were the chosen one! Next up, we have Tobey Maguire. I chose Tobey because he definitely looks very similar to Jaden, and Tobey can have that sense of horror inside of him. Yes, we think of him from the Spider-Man films, but I took a look back at his film Brothers in 2009, and I saw how phenomenal and scary Tobey can be. I think this could be a great role for Tobey, and I would love to see him come back on the big screen. Now, my personal favorite choice for Bill is Patrick Wilson. Patrick is very relevant when it comes to a horror film, considering he has been in other horror films such as the Insidious franchise and the Conjuring franchise. We can tell that Patrick already has the feel of a horror movie character. Going into the Insidious movies, Patrick fights off against a Darth Maul-looking demon, so I would love to see this guy kick Pennywise's butt. Next, we're going to move on to Eddie Kaspbrak, played by Jack Dylan Grazer in this year's It movie. In the novel, Eddie grows up to be the owner of a successful limousine company and starts to drive different celebrities around New York. He also still has his fear of germs, so he still has to worry about taking his pills, which, spoiler alert, ends up being placebos. My last choice for this character is Jason Bateman. I'm not too familiar with many of Bateman's work, but I have seen him in the film The Gift, and coming from that standpoint, Jason knocks the horror/thriller type of character out of the park. It would be pretty cool to see Bateman take up this role. Next up, we have Jake Gyllenhaal. I was considering putting Jake as my number 1 pick, but we'll get to that later. I chose Jake because he has been in quite a few thriller movies such as Donnie Darko and 2017's Life. Wait until you take a look at Nightcrawler. Holy cow, Jake nails this role. Once I saw him do that mirror scene, I knew Jake could probably nail a character in a horror film. It's funny because Grazer actually chose Jake Gyllenhaal as the person he would like to see in this movie, and I totally agree. My personal favorite pick for Eddie is Adam Scott. To my surprise, I actually found this year's It movie to be really funny. Eddie being one of the funniest, keyword 1. I chose Adam Scott for 2 reasons. 1, because he has the talent of bringing comedy to the hit show Parks and Recreation, and 2, Scott has actually been in a horror movie before, 2015's Krampus, which by the way, was not very good. I think coming from those 2 standpoints though, Scott can definitely be the Eddie Kaspbrak. Next up we have Ben Hanscom, played by Jeremy Ray Taylor in this year's It movie. In the novel, Ben grows up to be a very fit guy and also a famous architect. Ben was kind of difficult for me to decide, so if I give very irrelevant information, I'm sorry, just bear with me. My last choice for Ben is Jeremy Renner. I chose Jeremy because of his look, and he has actually been in a couple horror-type movies as well, such as 2007's 28 Weeks Later and 2002's Dahmer. Considering that Jeremy has been in these types of films, I think he has the attitude and tone of a character who could be in a suspenseful and dark film like this. Next up for Ben, I chose David Harbour. If you don't know who this guy is, Harbour plays Chief Hopper in the hit Netflix show Stranger Things, which is, by the way, such an incredible show. The show had the tone of a Stephen King novel, and it actually took a lot from the It movie to my surprise, but Harbour I think could definitely fit right into another project dealing with horror, mystery, and suspense. I don't think he would want to find Pennywise in the Upside Down anytime soon, though. My personal favorite pick for Ben is Chris Pratt. Taylor actually chose Pratt as the actor he would like to play the second part, and I actually agree. Like I said before, Ben grows up to be a very fit guy, and Chris Pratt definitely has the look of an adult Ben Hanscom. I would love to see Pratt take a shot at another horror film, and if part 2 ends up being the one, you will find me sitting front row in the theater. Next, we are moving on to Beverly Marsh, played by Sophia Lillis in this year's It film. In the novel, Beverly grows up to be a fashion designer and ends up marrying yet again an abusive man named Tom Rogan. My last choice for this character is Kirsten Dunst. I chose Kirsten because she would definitely nail the look of Beverly if she went back to the Mary Jane Watson red hair, and Kirsten has also been in some thriller movies such as Tower of Terror and The Crow: Salvation. These movies, especially The Crow, can be considered dark, and Andy Muschietti, the director of It, has said that this film will be much darker and not a comedy, so I would love to see Kirsten come back and take on a character of this genre. Next up, I chose Amy Adams. Amy recently starred in another movie with Jake Gyllenhaal called Nocturnal Animals, and from what I've seen, Amy definitely has the look and attitude of an adult Beverly Marsh. The movie was suspenseful and at a few points pretty dark, so I think Amy could definitely pull off this role. If not Beverly, I wouldn't mind her portraying the role of Audra Phillips, which is Bill's wife. My personal favorite pick for Bev is Jessica Chastain. Sophia actually chose Jessica for the adult Beverly. Giving the same reasons as Lilith, Chastain definitely looks similar to Sophia, and ironically, Chastain has already been in another horror movie directed by Andy Muschietti, known as Mama. So coming from Andy's direction and having already been in a horror film, I would love to see Jessica be in another Muschietti film. Next up we have Richie Tozier, played by Finn Wolfhard in this year's It movie. Finn is also in the Netflix show Stranger Things with David Harbour. In the novel, Richie grows up to be a famous radio DJ. My last pick for Richie is Ashton Kutcher. I know a lot of you guys are probably not going to agree with this one at all, but I chose Ashton because of his crude and foul humor coming from 2.5 Men, and I also took a look at a serious role of his in the film Jobs. Richie is defined as trash mouth in the novel, and I think Ashton definitely has a look compared to Wolfhard, and I believe Ashton could give this a shot. Next up for the trash mouth, I selected Ryan Reynolds. I thought Ryan would be perfect for this role. Reynolds also starred in the 2017 film Life, so he has some experience working in the thriller horror genre. I also chose Ryan because of the comedy and foul language he puts to use in some of his films like 2017's The Hitman's Bodyguard with Samuel L. Jackson and the movie we all come to know and love, 2016's Deadpool. Ryan, I believe, can definitely pull off Richie Trashmouth Tozier. But my personal favorite pick for Richie is Bill Hader. Finn Wolfhard actually suggested Hader as his pick for the adult Trashmouth, and I can definitely understand where he's coming from. Hader is a very funny actor, and he can be foul at some points. Coming from his experience with SNL and films like Trainwreck, Hader, I think, definitely has the ability to portray an adult Richie Trashmouth Tozier. Next up, we have Mike Hanlon, played by Chosen Jacobs in this year's It film. In the book, Mike actually ends up staying in Derry and eventually becomes the head librarian of the town. My last pick for Mike is Donald Glover. I love Donald Glover. I think he definitely has the look for Mike. If Glover does end up being a consideration, I would love it. Next up for Mike is Idris Elba. Now, Elba has already been in a Stephen King adaptation, August 2017's The Dark Tower. I chose Idris because he is a definite, serious, and mysterious actor in which the roles he plays, and if he can pull off an American accent, Mike Hanlon would be such a great fit. It would be nice to see this guy actually be in a Stephen King adaptation that was good. My personal favorite pick for Mike is Chadwick Boseman. Chosen Jacobs suggested Boseman in many interviews, and I agree with him 100%. Boseman looks very similar to Jacobs, and coming from different shows and movies, Boseman definitely has the dark and mysterious attitude of a horror film. I honestly hope Boseman gets this part after Black Panther. To me, he is Mike Hanlon. Last but not least, we have Stan Uris, played by Wyatt Olaf in this year's It movie. Now, before I list my choices, I just want to say that I went with actors who could possibly play a major/minor character in a film, and well, Stan doesn't really live to tell the tale in the novel, but he is still a great and important character. My last pick for Stan is Miles Teller. Teller is probably the youngest out of all the actors I have listed, but coming from the different backgrounds of films he's been in, like Whiplash, he could have a shot. Whiplash was a very intense and suspenseful film, and if Teller can take that attitude over to It, Chapter 2, behold, we have a Stan Uris. My next pick for Stan is Ioan Gruffudd. In case you don't know who Gruffudd is, he played Mr. Fantastic in the 2 Fantastic Four films, which in my opinion, I thoroughly enjoyed. Gruffudd has starred in a couple horror/thriller films like 2003's The Gathering, and he's also starring in 2017's upcoming release of Keep Watching. Gruffudd, I think, has the look for Stan if he dyes his hair and uses his American accent he used for Mr. Fantastic. Gruffudd is a fantastic actor, and I really want to see him in more recent films. My personal pick for Stan is Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Wyatt Olaf picked Gordon-Levitt as his adult Stan Uris, and I think he picked very well. Joseph starred in the 1998 film Halloween H2O 20 years later, and it was very, very creepy and suspenseful. I definitely think if Joseph brings that sense of horror into a film like It, there's a great chance that this will be one of his greatest roles he's ever played. And that ends my predictions, guys. I know I probably didn't give much substantial information and kind of repeated myself and went a little too fast, but this was just my honest opinions on who should play these characters. What I want to know is, who do you want to see play the losers in It Chapter 2? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And lastly, thank you guys so much for watching this video. And again, if you like this, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to catch up on any new content I upload. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time.
The stars burning brighter.